It's after 8 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Not a bad-looking Wednesday morning. Temperatures look pretty good, climbing to 81 degrees right now here at the studios outside the WOCA commissary, 54 degrees. Galen Unold is on the phone from LifeSouth Community Blood Center. I often prepare something that is relatively light or silly, and this next one's just plain interesting, I think. So, good morning, Galen. How are you? Galen, did I lose you?
He's calling back.
How come I don't hear him?
He's calling back.
There, are you there?
He's
Galen?
calling back.
Yeah, hey.
Okay.
Good morning. Larry, Robin, how are y'all?
Good. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. And I didn't hang up on you, by the way. I don't even touch the phone. It's just something happens here. Does it feel like I hang up on you when that happens?
Yeah, it just goes dead quiet.
Wonder what
The second we stopped talking, and then it went dead quiet.
I wonder what happens.
Yeah, I wonder
there.
what happens to
All
the
right.
equipment.
Well, maybe I do this. Maybe that's what happens. Is that what happens?
He's still there.
I'm still here, yeah.
The light's still on the phone.
I know, but he couldn't. I think I stopped. I think I do something maybe, but it doesn't disconnect him. It just makes it seem we're disconnected. I think. Anyway, so I was reading an article, Galen, on social facilitation. This is from Psychology Today. Social facilitation is a new term for me. I never heard it before. Layman's terms, it's the audience effect. And part of this has to do with using the results of this study, which go back to 1898, and the most recent one, 2010. Oh no, 2014 is the most recent one. But anyway, they showed that donation rates increase if you use some of these elements of whatever they call the audience effect. So, I mean, it doesn't say blood donations, but I thought, wow, I wonder if this is something you guys already use as a way. I'm thinking you do, actually, but anyway, I thought I'd share it with you. It's an interesting study, so I'll share that with you, okay?
All right, sounds good.
So I know it's on the serious side. It's not serious, it's interesting, just interesting, okay?
Well, people give more when they're happy. When they're being entertained and they like the entertainers and things, they give more.
That's not what this is about.
Oh, okay.
This is not about being entertained.
Okay.
Interesting thing, though, that you said there. It's probably true, though. Probably true. All right, so again, let's do the business part of this, and then I'll tell you what this report says, okay? It's not
Okay.
long. All right. Well, how is the blood supply right now?
Again, we're right there, almost at a 3-day blood supply. We just really need to catch up. Our usage is going way up right now, and we're not having enough donations to really to expand our blood supply. So we just need people to get out there, give the gift of life, and donate blood.
All right,
we need all types.
All right, so as we go through this article here, I want you to remember what Galen just said. We need more people to donate. See if we can use what this article says to increase our donations for blood. And if you're in any effort where you're looking for donations, I'm guessing money is the most common donation. Maybe you could use this information. All right, so I'm going to share this with you. Before we say anything else, let's thank Palm Garden of Ocala and Penn Flooring. They both sponsor this important announcement each day. Not the fun stuff we normally talk about, but the fact that Galen reminds us to donate blood. Go to Palm Garden, see it for yourself, take a tour. You'll see why we consider this one of the best facilities in our community for long-term skilled nursing care, for short-term rehab care, or for respite of a couple days, or maybe even just an afternoon. They do that as well. Take a tour. You'll see why we love the place. Penn Flooring, 1201 Southwest 17th Street. Go over there and check out the showroom. There's some samples for you to make your home more beautiful or office from the floor up. And they're right near the McKay-Williams Bridge, a few blocks from Pine Avenue. All right, so social facilitation. This is also known as the audience effect. Now, you know what this is if you've ever been on stage. I know you've made speeches, Galen. Robin and I are going to sort of be on I don't know what we're doing. Is it a stage tour? Or are we in front of a classroom?
We're in the cafeteria, and I don't know if they have a stage.
So the audience reaction to whatever it is you're doing, whether you're making a speech or anything, actually feeds you, the performer. Okay? And
Sure, of course.
Okay,
yeah.
Everybody seems to know that. Okay. So anyway, they did a study. The first social psychology laboratory experiment of social facilitation, also known as the audience effect, was undertaken by Norman Triplett in 1898. In his research on the speed records of bicyclists, he noticed that racing against each other rather than against the clock, increased the bicyclists' speeds. Yeah, right?
Yeah, of course.
That's cool.
Sure, of course.
That's cool.
And now that is interesting, right? There's another racer out there, so you're going to go faster than if,
of course.
than if you're going against the clock. That's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, to me, that's a given. You always perform at a higher level, and that's why you want to compete with people who are better than you, because that's how you get better.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, I mean, yeah.
So that whole
That
thing,
makes sense.
I'm racing against the clock, if you really are competitive, you better get somebody out, like Galen says, somebody who's better than you.
Sure.
Right? Okay.
Well, I'll give you a pretty good example. So when I play golf with Dan, I play worse than when I play without Dan. Dan brings me down. It's true. That's really true.
Oh, man. You're so mean to Dan.
Yeah.
You are mean to Dan. All right.
That's not being mean, and I make him better. Because he's so bad. At
Oh,
golf.
my
So
gosh.
bad.
Are you going golfing anytime soon? Are you coming in tomorrow to do the show with Dan?
Yeah, I'll be in tomorrow. Yeah. I haven't played golf in like 4 months.
Do you sit as far away from Dan when you come in here as you do from us? When you come in here, you take the farthest seat.
Well, I like that seat because I don't like to turn my head because then I'm not talking into the microphone. So if I sit at the end, I can talk at the microphone and I can see you both.
You got it. Okay, got it. Okay, good.
And those microphones don't move. They're the 1965 game show, Mike. So it's not like they really move.
All right.
Okay, great.
All right, I want to get to some of this. Okay. All right, so the next thing, there was an experiment done with children with fishing reels. Ready for this? There were two conditions, the child alone and children in pairs but working alone. Their task was to wind the fishing reel in a given amount of fishing line, and the report says that many children worked faster in the presence of a partner doing the same task.
Absolutely.
Doing the same task.
Well, and it's twofold. One, you're limited by yourself. You think, I'm going really fast. I can't go any faster until you see somebody else who goes faster.
Right.
I mean, think about the Olympics. If his name is Michael Phelps decided he was just going to be in the pool all by himself, he would be much slower than if that Australian guy who he gave the mean look to.
Yes.
Next to him.
Oh, yes. Yes. Good example. Yes. It says, now listen to this. This is interesting. Okay, now in the first two examples, there was a competitor or somebody you perceived as a competitor, okay? Listen to this one. The same effect may come into operation if you find that you work well in a library in preference to working at home where it is equally quiet. The effect studies, this is by a guy named Chen in 1937. He observed that worker ants will dig more than 3 times as much sand per ant when working alongside other ants than when working alone.
Isn't that something?
Because you're being held accountable.
Even ants.
Absolutely.
Even ants.
Yeah.
So when you're in the library and you're studying, and there are other people in there studying, even though you're not competing or even speaking to them, you're going to be more productive than if you sit at home alone in your room and you study.
Sure.
Absolutely.
That is interesting.
Less distractions. I mean, that's a given. Less distractions, and you're competing with everybody around you. Yeah.
It says social facilitation also occurs not only in the presence of a co-actor, but also in the presence of a spectator, as in an audience. This is known as the audience effect. It's not the presence of other people that is important for the social facilitation to occur, but the apprehension about being evaluated by them.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right.
That makes sense.
In sexual experimentation, men and women were assigned different roles of performer and audience. Now, can you imagine being part of this study? All right, sir, you're going to be the performer. Ma'am, you're going to be the audience. This is exactly what they did. Okay.
Sex is everywhere. Sex always creeps into everything. There is nothing that, you can do that sex isn't a part of it.
Scientists are sexual. What are you going to do?
It's weird.
Scientists don't get much sex. They have to do something.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah, they're locked up in these rooms.
I don't know. But anyway, it's interesting anyway. I know what you're saying, but it's still interesting. When men were the performers and their partners, assuming the role as audience, responded with great excitement and approval, the men reported that the sexual encounter was more pleasurable. So in other words, when he was doing whatever he was doing and she was saying, oh, that is great, even if she was acting, he felt like, oh, that was a great experience. Right? But when the feedback of their partners was aloof and unaroused, the men responded in the survey that they would have preferred to have taken care of their needs by themselves. You know what that means?
Of course.
I'd rather be alone than with her.
Yeah.
Even though he knew she was acting. All right.
Yeah, that's disappointing.
When
you're acting, that's very disappointing.
All right. So when they reversed it, when women were assigned the role of performer, and the men were acting as audience, the women overwhelmingly reported reaching orgasm when the men acted excited and aroused, even though the women knew the men were acting. I don't think they were acting, by the way.
Well, no, I mean, you got physical evidence there.
However, when the men acted uninterested, the women reported feeling depressed and disappointed in themselves. Again, even knowing the men were acting like they weren't interested.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, it is. That is a cool study.
Well, not really. I mean, we all want to be accepted.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in that kind of a vulnerable state. You want that positive reinforcement to be accepted.
All right, now here's another one. This is Hazel Marcus of the University of Michigan conducted an experiment asking people to get dressed in clothing they were familiar with and dressed in clothing they were unfamiliar with. Okay? So people were able to get dressed better in clothing they were unfamiliar with when they were alone.
Oh, okay.
But when
nobody's judging them.
They were in.
You're more willing to make a mistake if you know that somebody's not out there judging.
That's it. That was exactly the conclusion. Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. So let me get to.
I wonder how much money they made for these studies. To me, this is all just common sense.
It does seem like common sense. Yeah, it does. But if you go back to 1898, they probably, I don't know, do you think they paid anybody for these? I think in 2010 they did.
Oh, sure.
There's probably somebody getting paid.
Sure. I don't think there's volunteers for this.
All right. So is this interesting, or am I just telling you things you already know?
It's very interesting.
All right. In 2010, a study showed that donation rates increased with the presence of observers, and neuroimaging, a word you wouldn't have seen in 1898.
No.
Neuroimaging revealed that the presence of observers significantly affected activation in the ventral striatum, whatever that is, before the choice whether or not to donate was made. So what does that mean? That means that. Go ahead.
Basically, I mean, I mean, if one person asks you one-on-one, hey, would you like to give? You could say no and not feel anything. But if you're in front of a crowd and people are starting to give, they're going to be more inclined to go with the herd. Yeah, I mean, it just makes it harder because of social acceptance. We use that trick all the time. So it's our number one recruitment tool in high school.
Okay. Yeah, and that's what I thought. I thought of this for the high schools, but I thought that it shows this study, what the conclusion of this study reveals itself in the high school thing that you do. That you've told
in churches, and if the right person donates at a business, if the CEO gives.
Oh, really?
Or the manager or whoever's in charge gives.
Oh, okay.
Our donations go up significantly.
All right, so hear me out now. This might be in the same category as the horse thing I had, the horse thing. But what if you let's say you're standing outside Walmart with the bloodmobile, and you ask, "Would you like to donate?" Right? If you get one person who says, "Yes, I would like to donate," you say, "Okay, the bus is full right now. Can you just stand right here?" And then you say, "Excuse me, ma'am, would you like to donate? This gentleman is going to be donating. You'll be after him." Will she more likely say yes if she knows? Oh, he's going to do it. Well, I'll do it too. Is that? I mean, does that work here?
Well, it helps. I say this all the time. Traffic begets traffic. So if it looks like our donor center, if it looks like the parking lot is empty, people are more likely just to drive by. But if it's full but not too full, you have to find that line. We have found that if people have to wait, they're not going to donate. So we have to get them on the bus as quickly as possible.
Ah, okay.
But if they see activity on the bus, they're more likely to stop.
I got you. Okay. So how do you show activity on the bus? Because usually the bus is very hard to see into.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's why we have somebody standing outside it. That's why we try to make it that there's people around it. We're not closed.
Yeah. When you
have banners out and stuff like that.
Does it? Okay. Let me take a phone call. Then I have a question for you. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing that isn't, if it hasn't engaged or measured, it never improves. So that's why they said back in the day there was a guy named Roger. Is it Roger Bannister, Galen? First man to break the 3-minute mile. Is that right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, 4-minute mile. 4-minute mile.
They used to believe that if you ran that fast, you would literally burst into flames. I mean, people would. I mean, your heart would explode. But so we love to be challenged, and I think it all boils down just like you say. You drive by some of these quick lube places, like the car where they change your oil. These fast lube places, and if they don't have any business in there, the managers and the men that work there, they will either be standing outside waving an umbrella or something. I would never put my guys through that. Or they will bring their own vehicles into the building and open the hood. And it's because people want to go, just like Galen said, you're driving and you're looking for some place to eat and you drive by a restaurant and you don't know anything about that restaurant. Maybe the best food in town. No cars in the parking lot. They just open their doors.
Right. And
you're going to go, oh, no, let's go over to that one where, there's lots of cars. So, yeah, it is. And believe me, marketing is all about that one thing that you're talking about now. It's all about marketing.
Very interesting. All right, and
it's a science.
And as a business owner, I know you're a mechanic, but you also are a business owner. Mm-hmm. You must use this stuff. This is kind of common sense for you.
Well, I can honestly say, knock on wood, I'm a very fortunate person that we really don't have to use marketing techniques. We advertise in one of the the Buy Right coupon book, but I tell my customers when they come in the door, they say, oh, I forgot my coupon in the car. The coupons that we put in the book is exactly our same price. We only use it as to get our name out there. And I tell the customer, you don't need a coupon, it's the same price, but it's just to get our name out in front. With like Galen says, when you don't have people standing outside the Bloodmobile, if you have people that are gathering out there, people are curious. They're going to be drawn to what other people are doing, and they want to accept. We as a people, as we want to be challenged for the most part. There's some who really don't care. They just, if you offer some people, even the slightest challenge, they'll just cower, put their tail between their legs and run and hide. But the average person, but it's the exceptional people who accept a challenge like Roger Bannister or anybody else who's achieved great achievements, that they accept a challenge and they take that challenge and they build on it. They fear is something that you can be your best enemy or your worst enemy. So anyway, that's
thank you. Appreciate the 2 cents in the wisdom there. Do you know one thing? I just want to say something. When you think of the audience effect, okay, if you're, let's say your son is doing mediocre at batting baseball or something, right, Galen? If you're all over him like, oh my gosh, that's so great, you did such a great job, and you overdo it, the audience effect, maybe that's bad too. You can't, you know what I mean? The audience has to really reflect how good of a performance you did. I mean, in a couple of studies, they were asked to act just to study it. But I mean, if you're not acting necessarily, but you know what I mean? And on the other hand, if you are negative toward your son, oh my God, you're so horrible at that. That's not gonna be accurate either. You know?
Well, it depends on the person. sometimes negative, prove me wrong, is great motivation. That just depends on the individual player or person.
That happens in music a lot too, by the way. It's very, very constructive if somebody gives you a bad critique, but after a day after fuming, you realize they were right. Then you become better as a result of that bad critique.
Well, and I think the key is the critique has to be accurate. It's got to be very specific, and it can't be generic. That you can't just say, you know what, you just suck. That doesn't help.
Yeah, right.
But
right.
if you're hitting, if you say, look, you're never gonna be able to drive the ball unless you get your hips and turn your hips, kind of a thing, or your hands.
That's
are too
more
high.
Constructive, yeah.
Yeah, then they may get mad, but as you said, they'll think about it, and then it's something very specific they can work on.
All right, let me.
It's got to be specific construction.
Got another phone call. Good morning, you're on the air.
Yeah, good morning. I wonder if Galen would agree with me. In sports, especially football, the home team, if it's a critical situation, along the bench or sidelines, the home team players start waving their hands and their towels to get the audience all fired up. But I think that almost has the same effect to the opponents, getting them fired up too. Because so many times I've seen that backfire. Would you agree with me, Galen?
Huh. Interesting.
I think the sideline, especially in like pro football, sideline has no impact on the game. None. I mean, it doesn't help it. It doesn't hurt it. It's no impact on that specific play.
But the thing he points out is exactly the same thing. Home team advantage is always because of the home crowd.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, home team advantage is a little different because it has. The players are used to playing in front of crowds. What makes a home field advantage a real advantage is the noise at the wrong time. So if you're on offense, you want the crowd to be quiet so that you can call your plays and you can communicate. And so that's where the home field advantage comes in. And also the playing conditions are a little different, weather, things like that. But it has more to do with the noise than anything else.
So here's the last part of this. I wanted to share this with you. Okay, the last part was a study done in 2002 called Raffelli's meta-analysis. It said the presence of others heightened an individual's physiological arousal only if the individual was performing a complex task. If the mere presence of others increases the speed of simple task performances and decreases the speed of complex task performances. Mm-hmm. Same thing. And when they applied it to children with autism, this was a study done in 2014, and this is the last thing. The presence of others helped to further the advancement of the autistic child than if they were trying to work with them alone. The experiment conducted tested the hypothesis that an individual with autism spectrum disorder will respond to the presence of experimenters, thus altering the results of the experiment. Isn't that interesting?
Super.
Yeah, they want to please.
Well, it's
they want to please.
You got the coach, who the kids respect. They're going to do better than the coach the kids don't respect, whether it's autistic or not, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So you're a coach.
That's true. That's true at every level. I don't care if they're a 2-year-old or if they're an elite athlete. The coach, that's the impact that they can have on.
Yeah.
Whether or not they can bring the best out of that.
Anyway, so that was what I had for today. I'm sorry I need to take the break. I'll have to make it up to our sponsors. I just was. I could see the connection, and it seems like the message I got back from both of you is that we already knew all of this already, and
I don't know about that.
No, I don't
sounded
think
like
so.
It sounded like it was already
so.
known. And anyway, maybe common sense. I don't know. But as far as applying it to certain things, I don't know. There's food for thought, I guess, as far as the donation part of it. That's what I thought.
Absolutely, I agree with you there. Yep.
Plus, it does tell you that you should act like you like it when you're in bed. I think that was part of that, too. All right, Galen.
I think anybody who's been married understands that part.
Yeah, so faking it is actually a good thing, I think.
There you go.
Galen, where's the Bloodmobile today?
Telecom services today.
All right. And Palm Garden and Penn Flooring, thank you both for sponsoring this segment. Jan, the Palm Garden ad will play. I will make it up. I'm sorry. We will take a little break. Thank you, Galen. Have a great day. We'll be right back.
Bye, y'all.
News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. Some Republicans calling it a slap in the face to service members as President Obama commutes the sentence of Chelsea Manning,
the former Army officer who provided American military and diplomatic information to WikiLeaks. Manning was sentenced to 35 years in prison back in 2010.
Blake Berman with the Fox Business Network. According to a senior White House official, the president's concern
is rooted in the fact that the sentence that was handed down is longer than the sentence that has been given to other individuals who have committed other comparable crimes. House Speaker Paul Ryan called this outrageous, adding, quote, Chelsea Manning's treachery put American lives at risk.
More pardons could be coming from President Obama. An alleged cop killer caught in Orlando, Markeith Lloyd, wanted in the killing of Officer Deborah Clayton. He was found in an abandoned warehouse wearing body armor and carrying 2 handguns. Fox News, we report, you decide.
Wildfires burn millions of acres across the country each year. And each year, wildland firefighters battle to contain them, but they can't do it alone. For some communities, it's not a question of if wildfires strike, but when. And a single ember can travel more than 1 mile. As it twists and turns and floats through the air, that single ember can find its way to where you live and can ignite and destroy your home or your community. That single ember can be just as dangerous as the wildfire itself. You can't control where the ember will land, but you can control what happens when it does. You can take action now to prepare your home and your community for wildfire. Get fire adapted. Learn what you can do now to reduce wildfire damage later at fireadapted.org. Prepare, protect, prevail. A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council. Learn more at fireadapted.org.
Howdy folks, RL here for Dairy Queen Silver Springs. It's a new year full of good stuff and good food, so come on down to DQ at Silver Springs and start it off right, because we've got things for your heart's delight. Chicken strips and pepper gravy and slaw or chili dogs, oh so savory. Codfish and grilled burgers too, made to order just for you. Creamy and frosty, blizzards and shakes, and all kinds of flavors for goodness sakes. Dairy Queen Silver Springs, where we always treat you like kings and queens.
Hey, this is Matt Wilkerson from Verizon. You work all day, right? So why would you want to spend your night out shopping for that new phone? Well, Marion County, let me and Verizon help you out. I can deliver to your home or office, saving you precious time. Phone, tablets, internet, home phones, even accessories. Whatever you need, we will deliver free of charge. Call me at the store, 352-528-0020. That's 528-0020.
Palm Garden of Ocala leads in the area of orthopedic care with proven outcomes. Planning to have a new hip or knee joint due to arthritis or as the result of a fall? Palm Garden may be the answer. Guests appreciate the services of highly trained therapists and state-of-the-art equipment. And if you pre-register, you can secure a private room at no extra charge by mentioning this ad. Palm Garden makes no bones about it. They provide the best in orthopedic care. Call 854-6262. That's 854-6262.
The entire world watched. They watched each step down the rungs of that small ladder, one after another, and waited with great anticipation for that last step.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
At that moment, humanity saw the impossible become the possible. And today, the sky is not the limit. Achievement. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
A young woman contemplating having an abortion is told by society that whether she has her baby or not, it is her choice. The House of One in Faith in Ocala wants to give that young woman a place to live in comfort during her trying time, to help her know that God's love is abundant and that He is not ashamed of her in any way. The House of One in Faith is free and confidential. For more information, call 352-687-8895.
Hi, I'm Seth with AA Lock, Dock, and Security. Have you ever thought about the locks or security on your house or business? Have you ever wondered why the keys to your new car cost so much? Well, at AA Lock, Dock, and Security, we can help with securing your valuables. We can even replace those expensive transponder keys. We can give you the knowledge that no one else will. Call AA Lock, Dock, and Security at 867-1965. That's 867-1965.
The very best in quality is Captain T's Upholstery.
Hey, this is Dan. Let me ask you a few questions. Does your boat look better with the cover on? Has your car's interior seen its better days? Stop using a towel to cover up those rips in the golf cart. Isn't it about time you had it restored to better than new with a custom upholstery from Captain T? Captain T's Upholstery has been right here in Ocala for nearly 20 years, so they know how to make your ride one of a kind. Whether you want to take that classic ride back to a factory look or put your favorite sports team front and center, Captain T's Upholstery is who to call. 352-369-1810. That's 352-369-1810. Or stop by their location, 5030 South Pine Avenue in Ocala, just past the drive-in. And of course, don't forget to visit them on the web, CaptainTUpholstery.com.
The very best in quality is Captain T's Upholstery.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.